Tape Deck Media.
Welcome to Line by Line, Romeo and Juliet, a Ruddle Me This podcast mini-series. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to be bringing on actors, comedians, and other people that are knowledgeable about the bard himself, William Shakespeare. Each episode, I'm going to bring on a different guest, and we're going to go through the play line by line, and the guest is going to explain to me the bits of the language or add context here and there, basically just explain to me whenever I get stuck. I don't know how many episodes there are going to be of this. We're basically just going to see how far through the play we can get in the 40-minute Zoom time limit and go from there. So sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the show. Hello listeners, welcome back to episode 2 of Line by Line. This time we are going through Romeo and Juliet, and I have here with me today Jeff Clark. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Kia ora, thanks for having me.
No, it's been good. I think your last appearance on the pod was back in around episode 8 or something, so it is you're well overdue to come back and join in the pod. And I understand you've got a lot of theatre experience and everything like that, so I think you're just the man for the job.
Do.
Yeah.
I love the accented theatre. Yes, we learned to accent the A when we were in the biz.
I felt like you deserved it, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, when we last left this play, we had just gotten through the famous fight between the Montagues and the Capulets. The prince gave everybody a verbal duffing, told everybody basically, if you keep this up, you two are on the chopping block. And then Benvolio spoke to Romeo's father, and Romeo's father had no idea why Romeo was so depressed. And we got about halfway through this conversation. So we might jump back. Would you like to play Romeo for this bit? I'll do Benvolio's lines.
I've always wanted to. Of course, absolutely.
Okay, so I'll go back about 3. So Benvolio says, "No, cuz, I rather weep.
Good heart at what?
At thy good heart's oppression.
Why, such is love's transgression. Griefs of mine own lie heavy in my breast, which thou wilt propagate to have it pressed. With more of thine, this love that thou hast shown doth add more grief to too much of mine own. Love is a smoke raised with the fume of sighs, being purged a fire sparkling in lover's eyes, being vexed a sea nourished with lover's tears. What is it else? A madness most discreet, a choking gall and a preserving sweet. Farewell, my cuz."
Soft, I will go along, and if you leave me so, you do me wrong.
"Tut, I have lost myself. I am not here. This is not Romeo. He's some other where."
Tell me in sadness, who is that you love?
"Well, shall I groan and tell thee?"
So just to back up slightly, Romeo's big paragraph here. He's basic, because I struggle a little bit with some of these similes. He's basically just waxing poetic about how heartbroken he is.
Poetic.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's super rhymey. Like he's rhyming, doing rhyming couplets, which is one of the key things that Shakespeare does in this. Like most of it's not rhyming, but Romeo, Juliet, especially when they're meeting, it's because it's romantic. It's like poetry, and it's gorgeous. Now, did the previous person mention the sort of rug pull that he's setting up here?
Possibly not. I had Jess from the Auckland sort of comedy scene. What is the rug pull? She may have mentioned it.
Yeah, well, this whole thing, Romeo is going on about how in love he is. He's using this beautiful flowery language. He's going on about this thing, and we've also had that whole the prologue with the two households both alike in dignity. The play's called Romeo and Juliet. So the assumption that the audience watching this, because let's keep in mind that a lot of people going into this play, internet doesn't exist. There are no spoilers. They're going, oh, he's already talking about Juliet.
Okay,
and so it's like, this guy is so much in love. And so it's beautiful poetry. It's about his wonderful and sincere and everlasting love. And of course, Shakespeare is setting us up very nicely for the rug pull that's coming up in a wee bit. Hopefully we'll get to it, because I love that.
He certainly is fantastic. Well, then we'll do our best to get to it. So is there anything in that? I mean, it's just kind of poetic imagery. We we mentioned that he's kind of going through his emo kind of Linkin Park, woe is
Yeah,
me phase. He's wearing black and all that sort of thing,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Love is a smoke, fire, the sea, all of these massive things, madness, choking, preserving. It's a really nice little poem. They're all quite destructive as well,
Yeah.
um, which I would suspect is deliberate.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So we'll carry on. So I got up
Yep.
to, so he says, that's not Romeo. Here's somewhere there. Tell me in sadness, who is that you love?
What shall I groan and tell thee?
Groan? Why no? But sadly tell me who.
Oh, bid a sick man in sadness make his will. Ah, word ill urged to one that is so ill. In sadness, cousin, I do love a woman.
I aimed so near when I supposed you loved.
A right good markman, and she's fair I love.
A right fair mark, fair cuz, is soonest hit.
Well, in that hit you miss. She'll not be hit with Cupid's arrow. She hath Diane's wit, and in song proof of chastity, well armed. From love's weak childish bow she lives unharmed. She will not stay the siege of loving terms, nor bide the encounter of assailing eyes, nor ope her lap to saints seducing gold. Oh, she is rich in beauty, only poor that when she dies, with beauty dies her store.
So he's very deliberately not saying who he's in love with. And is
Not
there a
saying it.
reason for that? Like, is he just being angsty teenager, or is he kind of not allowed to, sort of pine for somebody?
There's a bit of, I think there's a bit of, there's a bit of wordplay there. It's a bit of a tease. It's kind of like, he's like, part of it could be that he's just extending the tension for the audience. It's like they're all sitting there going, "Oh, I know who she's talking. I know who he's talking
Yeah.
about. That Benvolio is going to find out, but he doesn't know." But I think also it's just setting up those different things in there.
Mhm.
He's basically saying, I really love her. She's beautiful, but she isn't. She's not reciprocating my love.
Yeah.
And so we all feel like, oh, this is going to set up a seduction, or this
Mhm.
play's going to be about him winning her over.
Who does he talk? Who is he meaning when he says Diane's wit? Is that like a Greek god or something?
Oh yeah, Diana. So that's Greek god Diana or Artemis.
Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
sorry, Roman god
Cupid's
Diana.
arrow.
Greek
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
Very
Diane,
cool.
Artemis, very famously the virgin
Oh,
goddess
okay. Yeah.
who did not want to be.
Yeah.
She's very intelligent.
Yes. Okay, I'm with it. So she's obviously a kind of seems like a maybe sort of pious or virtuous kind of lady. Maybe she's
Virtuous, unattainable.
intelligent, kind of
She's
witty. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, she's not going to fall for my lines. She doesn't want people looking at her. You're not going to be able to buy her love. That sort of stuff.
Okay. Yes, he does say saint seducing gold, ope her lap. Is
Yeah.
that another sort of innuendo, like to open her legs kind of thing? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
absolutely right. Yep.
What I should have done from the first is have a count of how many innuendos we've had, because I understand there's quite a few.
Yeah. The whole I love a woman, I aimed so near when I supposed you loved, it's like, well, it could be somewhere else. But that's okay,
Yeah.
and a right fair mark as soon as hit. There's some great wordplay here. And
There
there
is.
is that sort of little bit of teasing from Benvolio, a little bit of back, he's
Yeah.
still like Romeo is not completely depressed. He's not gone full emo. He's still having some little witty bits.
Plus, I think as well, like you can, because they're cousins, they probably have a little bit of that sort of banter between them and teasing each other and that kind of thing, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So then Benvolio says, then she hath sworn that she will still live chaste.
Oh, she hath, and in that sparing makes huge waste. For beauty starved with her severity cuts beauty off from all posterity. She is too fair, too wise, wisely too fair, to merit bliss by making me despair. She hath forsworn to love, and in that vow do I live dead that live to tell it now. So
Be
yeah,
ruled
he's
by
basically
me.
saying,
What's that, sorry?
oh, it's basically, I love her, she doesn't want me, I'm dead, but I'm still telling you about it.
She hath it in that sparing makes huge waste. He's kind of saying, what she's this.
What a waste.
Yeah, wonderful specimen, and she's not gonna she's not gonna do anything. And then she's too fair, too wise, wisely too fair. So yeah, again, too clever for old Romeo's tricks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Benvolio says, be ruled by me, forget to think of her.
Oh, teach me how I should forget to think.
By giving liberty into thine eyes, examine other beauties.
Oh, 'tis the way to call hers exquisite in question more, though these happy masks that kiss fair ladies' brows, being black, put us in mind they hide the fair. He that is strucken blind cannot forget the precious treasure of his eyesight lost. Show me a mistress that is passing fair. What doth her beauty serve but as a note where I may read who passed that passing fair? Farewell, thou canst not teach me to forget.
I'll pay that doctrine or else die in debt. And then scene.
That's the scene.
Romeo's essentially saying there that he has eyes only for this woman, and nothing compares.
Nothing compares. Any other beauty just reminds him of the beauty that is so much more than anyone else. You know, she's the best. I am never going to fall for anybody else ever.
He really is.
This is true love.
He is setting up the rug pull, isn't he?
It is. It's great. It's so great.
That he is stricken blind, cannot forget. It's like, even if he lost his eyesight, he wouldn't be able to forget what he'd seen.
Yep, absolutely. And these happy masks that kiss fair maidens' brows, being black, put us in mind they hide the fair. That's obviously a nun's habit.
Oh, of course, yeah.
You know, the black cloth that goes over the hair, so it hides, the brows. It goes over the head. So yeah, it's obvious she wants to be a nun. Or at least is vowing, very, very pious and all of that stuff. So we're expecting that. Yeah, so we're expecting that when we do finally see Juliet, we're going to meet a girl who is ready to go to the cloister, or
I get it. Okay, yeah,
yeah.
I see. So she is, this woman he's talking about is quite chaste. I think was the word he used to describe it, wasn't it? Quite pious,
chaste, pious, all of those things. Yeah.
Okay, so we are up to scene number 2, A Street.
A Street, as opposed to B Street.
I know,
which is a rough part of town.
The wrong side of the tracks. So it says enter Capulet, Paris, and servant. So shall I be Capulet and you be Paris?
Oh, yes, sweet.
Okay, so Capulet says, but Montague is bound as well as I, and penalty alike, and 'tis not hard, I think, for men so old as we to keep the peace.
Of honourable reckoning are you both, and pity 'tis you lived at odds so long. But now, my lord, what say you to my suit?
But saying o'er what I have said before, my child is yet a stranger in the world. She hath not seen the change of 14 years. Let 2 more summers wither in their pride, ere we may think her ripe to be a bride.
Or younger than she, a happy mother's maid.
So they're kind of talking about, I'm guessing this is Juliet's father.
They're talking about Juliet,
making a marriage agreement.
Paris wants to marry Juliet, and she's not 14 yet. She's only a 13-year-old girl. But back then, hey, younger girls than her were mums by then.
I think
it's okay. It's not too creepy.
I think Jess said they lived to be about 40 at this point. So I think
But also note that Capulet is saying, hey, let's not rush into it. Let's give her a couple of years. Let's let her get to be 15, 16.
Yeah, interesting.
So he's being quite reasonable.
He's pretty woke then. He's pretty like,
I mean, you're about to do a great monologue.
Oh, God, yes, I have just seen it come up. Okay, here we go.
I was glad when you said, you be Paris. Okay.
Okay, I'll give him my best shot. So, and too soon marred, and those so early made, the earth hath swallowed all my hopes but she. She is the hopeful lady of my earth, but woo her, gentle Paris, get her heart. My will to her consent is but a part, and she agree within her scope of choice, lies my consent in fair according voice. This night I hold an old accustomed feast, whereto I have invited many a guest. Such as I love, and you among the store, once more most welcome makes my number more. And my poor house look to behold this night, earth-treading stars that make dark heaven light, such comfort as do lusty young men feel, or when apparelled April on the heel. Of limping withered winter treads, even such delight, among fresh female buds shall you this night, and hear it at my house, hear all see, and like her most, whose merit most shall be, which on more view of many, mine being one, may stand in number through in reckoning none. Come, go with me. Oh, okay. I can breathe again.
Give the servant a paper.
Yeah, he gives the servant a paper. Go, sirrah, trudge about, through fair Verona, find those persons out whose names are written there, and to them say, my house and welcome on their pleasure stay. Exeunt Capulet, and Paris.
Okay,
So,
do you want to have a look at that speech?
yes, I would. So he's essentially saying he will give his blessing for someone to marry her, but only if she also consents to it.
Yep. She's his only surviving kid.
Yeah.
So they've had other kids. Those other kids have died. She's the last of the line. You've got to woo her. He's not going to push her into it. He's saying she has a voice. She gets to decide.
Yeah.
Come along to my party that I'm having tonight. If she likes you, you can woo her for a couple of years, and, that would be great.
That seems pretty progressive and reasonable for the times, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? I sure hope nothing goes wrong.
No, nothing. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be the rest of the play, isn't it? Everything's just going to go to plan.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to pick apart from that?
Nah, I mean, you don't need to. It's basically, I'm going to listen to her. You woo her. If she likes you, you can marry her. I'm having a party. That's the gist of it. I don't think we need to deep dive into it. There's going to be some other ladies that you can see. They'll see you, but of course, you can. Hopefully, my daughter's going to like you.
Yeah. And so Paris.
And then we have comedy. Yeah.
Is Paris the prince?
He is not.
Oh, okay. He's just like another nobleman kind of thing.
Yeah. That's right.
Roger that. Okay.
All right. And then we have the traditional Shakespearian servant.
Yep.
Find them out whose names are written here. It is written that the shoemaker should meddle with his yard, and the tailor with his lass, the fisher with his pencil, and the painter with his nets. But I am sent to find those persons whose name are here writ, and can never find what names the writing person hath here writ. I must to the learned in good time.
Bravo. That was great. I like the nice little touch there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little comedic, but, the fisher with his pencil, painter, nets, all of that jazz.
Yeah. So he's basically saying everyone and anyone. Hang on, actually, what is he saying there?
It's basically he can't read very well.
Oh, I see. Right. That's what
the short version.
Gotcha.
Find them out what names are written here. I am sent to find those persons whose names are here writ, and can never find what names the writing person hath here writ. I must to the learned. Learn it. So basically, I've got to go see someone who knows how to read this note.
Okay, I'm with you. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so then enter Benvolio and Romeo. I'll continue with Benvolio again. I quite like him. Tutman. One fire burns out another's burning. One pain is lessened by another's anguish. Turn giddy and be holp by backward turning. One desperate grief cures with another's languish. Take thou some new infection to thy eye, and the rank poison of the old will die.
Your plantain leaf is excellent for that.
For what, I pray thee?
For your broken shin.
Why, Romeo, art thou mad?
Not mad, but bound more than a madman is. Shut up in prison, kept without any food, whipped and tormented. Good e'en, good fellow. God give good e'en. I pray, sir, can you read? I, my own fortune and my misery.
Let's just hop back
Perhaps
a tiny bit.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So,
Sorry. Otherwise, it's Jeff talking to himself.
So then, what is Benvolio saying there? Is he telling Romeo to get over it?
Yeah, find someone else.
Gotcha.
One fire burns out another's burning. One pain is lessened by another's anguish.
Yes. Okay.
Take thou now some new infection to thy eye, and the rank poison of the old will die. So look at someone else, think they're pretty all right. You'll forget about the old one.
So then when he says, art thou mad, he means crazy or he means angry? Crazy. Okay. So then I'll let you continue from where you were, servant.
Yep, sweet. Where was it? Sorry.
So he says, can you read, sir? And then Romeo.
Oh, that's right. Yep. I, mine own fortune and my misery.
So he's still being melodramatic there.
Oh, absolutely. Perhaps you have learned it without book, but I pray, can you read anything you see? I, if I know the letters and the language. Ye say, honestly, rest you merry. Stay, fellow, I can read. So obviously it's a little interaction to get the note. Yep. And then he rings the note. Signor Martino. Oh, it's Romeo, sorry.
Yes.
Signor Martino and his wife and daughters. County Anselmi and his beauteous sisters. The lady widow of Vitravio. Signor Placentio and his lovely nieces, Mercutio and his brother Valentine, mine uncle Capulet, his wife and daughters, my fair niece Rosaline, Livia, Signor Valentino and his cousin Tybalt, Lucio, and the lively Helena. A fair assembly. Whither should they come? Oh, whither? To supper, to our house. Whose house? My master's. Indeed, I should have asked you that before. Now I'll tell you without asking. My master is the great witch Capulet, and if you be not of the house of Montagues, I pray come and crush a cup of wine. Rest you merry.
Foreshadowing there.
Yep.
So yeah, there's some characters that we recognized before. Mercutio, I remember from the film, and then obviously you've got Tybalt. Lucio, is that
Lady
another cousin?
Yeah.
Yep.
Just Lucio and Helena. Like, you know them. Lucio and Helena. They come to all the parties. They're great stories.
Very good. Okay, so then Benvolio says, at the same ancient feast of Capulets sups the fair Rosalind, whom thou so lovest, with all the admired beauties of Verona. Go thither, and with unattained eye, compare her face with some that I shall show, and I will make thee think thy swan a crow.
Yeah, so there's the rug pull.
There's the rug pull.
Yeah, sups the fair Rosaline, whom thou so lovest. Like that would be a that would be a big old in the crowd at that point. Because it's like he's got the letter, he knows that Rosaline's going to be there. Benvolio's jumped on the opportunity saying, oh, well, there's a whole bunch of hot chicks there. Let's all go and I'll show you some other hot chicks.
I'll introduce you to some, and then you'll see that Rosalind ain't all that's cracked up to be.
Yeah. And again, stupid servant doesn't know he's talking to a Montague. Can you read? How about you read this invite? Well, if you're not a Montague, come along. I serve Capulet. Like, it's just, I'm sure the servant's name is Expositio.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So he's done his job.
Yes. Yep. So then Romeo speaks.
Romeo responds, when the devout religion of mine eye maintained such falsehood, then turned tears to fires, and these who often drowned could never die, transparent heretics be burnt for liars. One fairer than my love, the all-seeing sun, ne'er saw her match since first the world begun.
Benvolio, tut, you saw her fair, none else being by, herself poised with herself in either eye. But in that crystal scales let there be weighed your lady's love against some other maid, that I will show you shining at this feast, and she shall scant show well that now shows best.
I'll go along, no such sight to be shown, but to rejoice in splendour of mine own.
So then, when he says crystal scales, is that the crystal scales of Anubis he's mentioning?
No, it's the eyes.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. But in the crystal scales, let there be weighed.
Yeah, he's basically saying, you didn't see it. You saw she was pretty because there was no one else nearby. And so, she poised with herself in either eye. So both eyes were on her. There weren't any other women in your vision.
Yeah.
So now, in those crystal scales, let's weigh that lady against some other women.
He's like,
and I'll show you shining at this feast. I'll point some ladies out, and she won't compare. And he's like, nope. I will not love anybody else.
He's
and
like a
who are we
scientist,
about to be interested to? Yeah. Who are we about to be introduced to in the next scene? Because remember, as soon as Romeo goes off and says, I'm not going to rejoice in anyone else, we cut to a room in Capulet's house for scene 3.
Okay. Which character would you like to be in this one here?
Oh, I don't mind. How about you be nurse and I'll be Lady Capulet and Juliet?
Okay.
Does that sound all right?
Yes, that's fine.
I want all the juicy roles, man. This is my only chance.
You are the caliber of actor we need to deliver some of these. I am essentially the equivalent of the person reading. When they do film, there's a person that reads the lines back to them. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
All right, here we go. Nurse, where's my daughter? Call her forth to me.
Nah, by my maidenhead at 12-year-old, I bade her come. What lamb? What ladybird? God forbid. Where's this girl? What Juliet?
Enter Juliet.
There we go. We've met Juliet for the first time. Okay.
Dramatic, big old entrance.
Yep.
Audience is probably going to go, she looks really nice. She'll be dressed very nicely.
Yeah.
How now? Who calls?
Your mother.
Madam, I am here. What is your will? This is the matter. Nurse, give leave a while. We must talk in secret. Nurse, come back again. I have remembered me. Thou hearest our counsel. Thou knowest my daughter's of a pretty age.
Faith, I can tell her age unto an hour.
She's not 14.
I'll lay 14 of my teeth. And yet to my teeth it be spoken, I have before. She is not 14. How long is it now? To Lammas tide.
A fortnight and odd days.
What is Lammas tide?
Could
just be like the equinox or something, right? Just like a period of the year or something.
Yeah, it's a Christian holiday. I'm just looking it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, Lammas Tide. It's a harvest festival.
gotcha.
Yeah.
And so the nurse only has 4 teeth.
Yep.
Yet she'll
Comedy nurse.
yeah. Okay, so please continue.
Yeah, so we've underlined she's not 14.
Yes,
Oh, and then there's the nurse monologue.
that's all right. I'm ready for it. Put me in, coach.
Okay. Yeah, great.
So Lady Capulet says fortnight and odd days. Nurse, here we go. Even or odd, of all days in the year, come Lammas Eve at night she shall be 14. Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well, Susan is with God. She was too good for me, but as I said, on Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. That shall she marry, I remember it well, 'tis since the earthquake now 11 years. And she was weaned, I never shall forget it, of all the days of the year upon that day. For I had then laid wormwood to my dug, sitting in the sun under the dove house wall. My lord and you were then at Mantua. Is that how you pronounce it?
Mantua.
Mantua. Nay, I do bear a brain, but as I said, when it did taste the wormwood on the nipple of my dug and felt it bitter pretty full, to see it tetchy and fall out with the dug, shake, quoth the dove house, 'twas no need, I trow, to bid me trudge. And since that time it is 11 years. For she then could stand alone, nay, by the road. She could have run and waddled all about. For even the day before she broke her brow. And then my husband, God be with his soul, I was a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, dost thou fall upon thy face? Thou wilt fall backward when thou hast more wit. Will thou not jewel? And by my holidame, the pretty wretch left crying and said, I, to see now how a jest shall come about. I warrant, and I should live 1,000 years. I never should forget it. Will thou not jewel? Quoth he, and a pretty fool it stinted and said, I. Okay.
So yeah, she's 14.
So
basically the nurse... Yeah, basically the nurse is just rabbiting on. She's saying, oh yeah, she was the same age as my daughter who's dead, and her birthday's around about Lammas Eve. And oh yes, because it's been 11 years since the earthquake that we had, and I remember when she was 11 years ago, she was running around, and there were some trees, and there was some stuff there. And remember, she was running around. That's right, because she fell over, and my husband, who's also dead, said, "Oh, why are you falling on your face? You should fall backwards," which is basically another dirty pun, another dirty joke. If you're a girl, you shouldn't be falling forwards. You should be falling backwards.
Yeah.
And she's rattling on, basically.
So she's like that coworker that you ask how you are, and then you get trapped in a 15-minute conversation.
Absolutely. Okay. And of course, Lady Capulet, being a smart lady, enough of this, I pray thee, hold thy peace.
Yes, madam, yet I cannot choose but laugh, to think I should leave crying and say, aye, and yet I warrant it had upon its brow a bump as big as a young cockerel stone, a perilous knock, and it cried bitterly. Yea, quoth my husband, fall'st upon thy face, thou wilt fall backward when thou comest to age. Wilt thou not jewel? It stinted, and said, I.
And stint thou too, I pray thee, nurse, say I. So
she's... What is Juliet saying there?
Shut up. Basically, now's the time to be quiet.
Be quiet now.
Yep.
So the nurse keeps going. Peace I have done, God mark thee to his grace. Thou wast the prettiest babe that I ever nursed, and I might live to see thee married once. I have my wish.
Marry is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how stands your disposition to be married? It is an honour that I dream not of.
An honour? Were not I thine only nurse, I would say thou hadst sucked wisdom from thy teat.
Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you here in Verona, ladies of esteem are already made mothers. By my count, I was your mother much upon these years that you are now a maid. Thus, then, in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love.
A man, young lady. Lady, such a man. As all the world, why, he's a man of wax.
Verona's summer hath not such a flower.
Nay, he's a flower in faith, a very flower.
What say you? Can you love the gentleman? This night you shall behold him at our feast. Read o'er the volume of young Paris's face, and find delight writ there with beauty's pen. Examine every married lineament, and see how one another leads content, and what obscured in this fair volume lies, find written in the margent of his eyes. This precious book of love, this unbound lover, to beautify him only lacks a cover. The fish lives in the sea, and 'tis much pride, for fair without the fair within to hide. That book in many's eyes doth share the glory, that in gold clasps locks in the golden story. So shall you share all that he doth possess, by having him, making yourself no less.
No less, nay bigger, women grow by men.
Speak briefly, can you like of Paris's love? So basically she's just floating the idea there. Yeah, she's floating, hey, have you thought about getting married? Juliet's like, I haven't really thought about it. And it's like, hey, I was the same age when I had you. So Lady Capulet's only in her early 20s. She was a young mum. She is saying, hey, you can marry Paris. He's a great looking guy. He'll be cool. And then, of course, nice little dirty joke. Women grow bigger by men.
That's right. I do like how much agency they're giving Juliet in this. That I find quite nice.
Yeah, but you can see Lady Capulet is pushing a bit harder.
Yes,
she's like, I was already a mum at this point. Yeah. And absolutely. They definitely want her to, but they are still saying it's your choice.
Yeah.
And, some people choose to play it as, yep, they are still giving her a choice, or they are sort of just going, she's an obedient daughter. They're just going through the motions, because obviously based on what happens later, you can play it a couple of different ways. I like it when it is more, personally, I like it more when they are being kind, and it's basically the tragedy and the stress that reduces them to their more base instincts.
Yeah, but, that's right.
In this point, they're saying, hey, he's great. He's really good looking. I think you'd be super happy.
Yeah. Okay, I just got the Zoom thing, so let's go through our wrapping up stuff now. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, time flies when you're reading Shakespeare, eh?
Yeah.
So first
question,
can
we do the last little bit though, just to get through the scene, because then you can start
certainly
on the next one with.
Why not? Yeah. Why not?
So, because Lady Capulet just asked, speak briefly, can you like of Paris's love?
Mm-hmm.
I'll look to Juliet. I'll look to like if looking liking move, but no more deep will I endart mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly.
Enter a servant.
You can be the servant.
Madam, the guests are come, supper served up. You called my young lady. I don't know when my accents go there. That's young fine. Lady asked for her. The nurse cursed in the pantry, and everything in extremity. I must hence to wait. I beseech you, follow straight.
We follow thee. Juliet, the county stays.
Now go, girl, seek happy nights to happy days.
Yeah, and that's the end of the scene. So that's the first time. Yeah, that's the first time we've seen Juliet. She said, hey, I'll look at him, but I'm not going to go any further.
Yeah. Not going to make any promises.
Then your consent gives us strength to make a flight. It's like, well, I'll have a look at him, but your consent is going to give it to strength. I'll take your stuff on board.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, the party's about to start.
That's right. Okay, so as to you, what is your history with Shakespeare?
I've loved Shakespeare for years and years and years. Like, third form was probably when like year 9. My first year of high school was probably when I started reading it. I think I was lucky enough to have seen some kind of Shakespeare play before then. I think it was like, I'm in my mid-40s, so things like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet or Branner's, Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
That was sort of earlier. That was possibly the first sort of film adaptation, and that was super cool. I think I'd seen things like Midsummer Night's Dream and stuff like that. I've just, since high school, I adored it. I studied Shakespeare at university, 3 years of study of it, which is why I'm so pedantic about all this stuff sometimes. But it is great because, there's stuff that still holds up really, really well, the wordplay and some of the themes. And then there are some really deep cuts in terms of, Shakespearean society and stuff there.
I was really impressed at how much the wordplay holds up and everything still hundreds of years later.
Yeah, it's great. And I just, this is a beautiful tragedy. I think it's important that they have the bit about Romeo being so deeply in love with Rosaline before he meets Juliet, because that's some really nice foreshadowing for how, it's not fickle, but he goes hard.
He falls hard, doesn't he? Yeah.
And that sort of impetuousness, impulsiveness.
So then next question, have you played any Shakespearean characters throughout your career?
I've played a few. In third form, I got to play Malvolio in Twelfth Night. I've played
Cool.
Lysander in Midsummer Night's Dream. A couple of years ago, I got to play Sir Andrew Aguecheek in Twelfth Night, so a different production of Twelfth Night. I've done some readings of Shakespeare. Like I've got copies of the Shakespeare Star Wars scripts, which is where they've taken the
Wow.
plot of Star Wars and turned it into Shakespearean verse.
Oh,
And I
wow.
so want to organize some kind of reading for it, but obviously you can't do it for money because
Yeah,
of the rights and all that. But
true.
gosh, I just love his stuff. Yeah, he's
So
just
then
so good. I would love to do more.
I was going to say that the next question I typically ask is, what about his work do you think has made it so enduring?
It's really good.
Yeah,
Like it's really, really well structured. The stories, you know, you don't have to understand all of the stuff to understand what's happening.
yeah,
You can go along and watch the characters doing these things and saying these things, and you get the plot, you know?
yeah,
Um, and the more you know about it, the more you enjoy it and stuff like that.
yes,
I mean, the thing is, he just took a lot of his stuff were adaptations of existing stories that people sort of knew,
that's right.
but he did them better than anyone else. And the way that the characters talk and the way that they think makes the characters relatable and understandable. And luckily, that sort of still continues to resonate.
It does, doesn't it? So
Yeah,
that is all the questions that I have for my guests. I think because this is not going to be released probably until next year. So, social
sure.
media links for you, Jeff. Where can people find you online?
I'm Kamikaze at Kamikaze Jeff, COMIKAZEJEFF. I was very young. On Instagram. Jeff Clark Performer on Facebook, or Gary Starlight on Facebook, which is a character that I do, who does not do
Fantastic
Shakespearean verse,
character.
but he does musical stuff. Yeah, he's a cool character. Inspired a lot by sort of the more bombastic of Shakespeare's characters in terms of
I
lack of self-awareness, but bombast.
love it.
Um, yeah,
Well,
so Jeff Clark Performer is probably the best page to see what I'm up to on Facebook. Yeah.
fantastic. Well, thanks so much for giving up a bit of your time, Jeff. Are you
Oh,
keen to
thank
come
you.
back and do another episode later on?
I would love
I've
to.
got a sort of short list of people that I'm whipping through. So yeah, I think we would definitely have to bring you back. And
Yeah.
yeah, just thanks for your time, man. I look forward to. I've honestly been looking forward to these episodes like all week to them coming up. So it's been a delight.
Oh, yeah. I'm just so looking forward to them meeting, falling in love, and living happily ever after. What a treat it's going to be.
Surely.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the end of another episode of Line by Line. Thank you so much for listening, and if you enjoyed it, please tell your theatre-loving friends about it, give us a share on social media, and most importantly, leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Good Pods, or whatever your favourite podcatcher is. Come back next week, same time, same place for another episode of Line by Line. To quote the bard himself, parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say goodnight till it be next week. Thank you for listening.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.